Hi students, good morning to everybody. I hope so you have gone through the videos, what I taught in the last classes. But it seems that many of you have not turned your videos on to just learn about whatever taught lessons. Only few, that is viewers, have gone through the videos. I think so they understood the facts. But many of them are not in the mood to go through the videos to learn the lessons. Okay, anyway, it is my duty to discuss about the immune system, the continuation. Now the second part again, the secondary lymphoid organs or the peripheral lymphoid organs. I mentioned already. After the cells mature in the primary lymphoid organs, they reach the peripheral lymphoid organs, and following antigenic stimulus, they normally provide an immune response. That means in the lymph nodes or any other what is called secondary lymphoid organs, normally the antigens are localized. So they are exposed effectively to the phagocytes or the immune system. Now first let's take number one, the lymph node. So the lymph node, you know that one, it is a bean-shaped structure formed in the immune system, and all along the entire length of the lymphatic vessels. So they are connected with one another through the lymphatic vessels. Now it is the first organ, it is the first one normally to encounter with the antigens that enter in the tissue space. Normally the function of the lymph node is to filter and trap substances. Filter and trap substances that normally just travel through the lymphatic fluid. Now if we are taking the lymph node, it is densely packed with the WBCs. Particularly, what we have the phagocytes, nothing but the macrophages and the lymphocytes. So it is densely packed with these two types of cells. Other types we have. So mainly the phagocytic cells and also the lymphocytes are packed in the lymph node. The lymph node is connected with one another by means of the lymphatic duct. Through the lymphatic system, the lymph nodes are connected with one another. If you are taking the lymph, you know that one, it is a colorless, a mobile fluid, a transparent fluid. Okay, it's moving through the lymphatic system. A colorless, transparent, mobile, what we can say, extracellular connective tissue fluid. Extracellular connective tissue fluid, just like what is called the blood. As I mentioned earlier, the lymph nodes are connected with one another by means of the lymphatic vessels. As the lymph enters and percolates through the lymph node, the antigens which are brought with the lymph will be easily exposed to the phagocytes, the follicular dendritic cells, and also interdigitate dendritic cells. So all these cells are responsible for phagocytosis. What we have, that is the foreign antigens. Now let's come to the structural aspects of lymph node. Now if you are taking the lymph node, here is a diagram. It is having an outer capsule. There is an outer capsule enclosing the lymph node. So we have many lymph nodes are present in the body. Even we can see hundreds of lymph nodes are present in the body. They are grouped together here and there. We'll see later. And we can see approximately more than 600 lymph nodes are present in the body. Now each lymph node, if you are making a section, is having an outer capsule, which penetrates the lymph node into what we have in the form of septa or trabeculae, which divides the entire, what is the lymph node, into three zones. What are the three zones of the lymph node? If you analyze the lymph node, it's being formed of three zones. Outermost, what is called the cortex, number one. cortex. Outermost part called as the cortex. What does it contain? The cortex contains normally B lymphocytes and follicular dendritic cells, follicular dendritic cells. So outermost part called the cortex, which contains the B lymphocytes and follicular dendritic cells. Otherwise we can say the cortex is a B lymphocyte dependent area or bone marrow dependent area. Now just beneath this outermost part, now this is the cortex area, what I just actually mentioned about this one. And beneath this one, we have another zone, what is called paracortical zone or paracortical area. Now this green region represents the paracortical area. So what does it contain? Now the paracortical area or the zone, paracortical zone, it contains normally T lymphocytes and interdigitate dendritic cells. Here follicular dendritic cells, that is groups just like grapes. Then interdigitate in between. So paracortical zone contains T lymphocytes and interdigitate dendritic cells. That's why it's called as thymus dependent area, as it contains the thymocytes or the T cells. This one is, that is what's called the bone marrow dependent area, as it contains what we have, the B lymphocytes. The next one, what we have, the medulla. The third one, medulla. Now the medulla contains sparsely populated mature lymphocytes. The lymphocytes are arranged in the form of elongated branching bands. And such bands are called medullary cords. So the medullary cords are nothing but the lymphocytes which are arranged in the form of elongated branching bands. So many of them are in the form of plasma cells, that is active B lymphocytes. So they actively secrete antibody molecules. So outer one, B lymphocytes along with follicular dendritic cells. Then the next one, paracortical area, T lymphocytes and interdigitate dendritic cells. Now the innermost one, what's called the medulla, it contains mature lymphocytes. Many of them are in the form of plasma cells. They are responsible for secreting antibodies, the antibody molecules. Now here the lymphocytes are arranged in the form of elongated branching bands. Such elongated branching bands are called medullary cords. Now the lymph is normally allowed to enter the lymph node through the incoming vessels. The incoming vessels are called afferent lymph vessels. We have many afferent lymph vessels. And after reaching, it passes through, the lymph percolates through slowly the cortex, the paracortical area and medullary zone, so that we have sufficient chance for the what is called the phagocytic cells, the macrophages, to just capture the antigens. But we have only one, just what we have, a vessel leaving from the lymph node, that's called afferent lymph vessel. So many afferent lymph vessels, entering vessels, and only one afferent lymph vessel. So as the lymph enters, it percolates slowly through the three regions and then leaving through the afferent lymph vessels. So it provides or giving enough chance for the antigens to be exposed to the macrophages or the phagocytic cells. Now what is happening? See, and when actually the lymph is flowing through, the antibodies are produced by the plasma cells. So the antibodies are produced by the plasma cells against the antigens that enter through the lymph into the lymph. Sometimes we have the swelling of the lymph nodes occurs. What is the reason for the swelling of lymph nodes? It may be due to increased immune response and also high concentration of lymphocytes. That means the lymph node is now exposed to infection. So, thus it may be one of the reasons why swollen lymph nodes. It may be because of an infection encounter occurs between the pathogen and the antibodies produced by the plasma cells that results in swollen lymph nodes. So that indicates an infection is there in the body. Swollen lymph nodes is an indication for actually an infection. Because actually the lymph nodes are grouped together in different areas. So we have different groups of lymph nodes. Now frequently a large lymph nodes are formed under the chin, in the neck region, in the armpit region and also in the groin region. These are all the places we have a large lymph nodes. Under the chin, just we have under the armpits, in the groin region, okay, and also in the neck region. That's why we have, at the time of infection when a person is having a fever, we have swelling of what we have the lymph nodes in the neck region or we have other parts of the body. That is an indication of an infection. That's about the lymphoid organ. The first one, the lymph node, present all along the length of what is called the lymphatic system, connected with one another through the lymph vessel. And just we have the incoming vessels through which now the lymph enters. There is outgoing vessel that is called efferent lymph vessel. The lymph nodes are also provided with the blood vessels, both artery and vein. Okay. Now let us go to the next secondary lymphoid organ. That leaves the lymph node through the efferent vessel carries enriched antibodies which are produced by, that is, the plasma cells against the antigen that enter the lymph node through the lymph. Now that's about a few points just I want to tell you more about here for the lymph node. Now let's pass on to the next one, the spleen. The spleen is the largest lymphoid organ in the body. Suppose in taking the location, it is present in the upper part of the abdominal cavity near the diaphragm. Though it is associated with the digestive system, there is no connection between the spleen and the digestive system. It is considered as a storehouse of the blood. The maximum blood is stored only in the spleen region. Now what are the components that make the structure of spleen? Simply I can say outer capsule, septum, and there are two kinds of substances we can say. One is called red pulp region, another one white pulp region. So red pulp region, another one white pulp region. Now the red pulp region is characterized by an accumulation of blood with more RBCs. And the white pulp region is nothing but the lymphoid region containing the lymphocytes. That is also the macrophages. So we have both B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes are found in the white pulp region, and that is a major lymphoid region of the spleen. Now, what are the functions? It is acting as a systemic filter. When you are using the word systemic, the whole. So it is concerned with what is called the filtering of the blood-borne, the foreign antigens circulating in the blood. The whole, that is antigens found in the circulation, that is being filtered by, that is what is called the spleen. Because the blood is the one, all the blood is reaching only one organ, namely the spleen. That is the organ which receives blood from all parts of the body. That's why it is considered as a systemic filter. It is a graveyard for effete RBCs. The aged RBCs, once they lost their function after 120 days, they have been destroyed only in the spleen. That's why the spleen is called as a graveyard. The third one, it is acting as a reserve tank or setting bed for blood, storage of blood. Now as it contains B cells, T cells and what we call the macrophages, now it is involved both in humoral and cell-mediated immunity. Because of the production of antibodies, because of the presence of macrophages, we have spleen is involved both in humoral and cell-mediated immunity. That's about the spleen. The second one, the largest lymphoid organ in the body, a systemic filter. So I have to we'll go for other secondary lymphoid organs. Let's take it now. Next is secondary lymphoid organ, considered as follicles, a group of cells called the Peyer's patches. These are found in the mucosa of ileum. Another entrance questions. Peyer's patches are found located in the mucosa of ileum. So these are oval-shaped area of thickened tissues found embedded the mucosa membrane. You know that one, we have the layer mucosa, submucosa, we have the muscular layer, etc. In the case of the lymphatic canal, or in the case of, for example, the respiratory system or digestive system. Here it is found in the digestive system. The mucous membrane, the innermost layer. So found embedded in the mucosa membrane of human intestine and also in other vertebrates, providing immunity. So normally found mostly in the mucosa of ileum. Now it contains a variety of cells. We have the macrophages, dendritic cells, the B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. What is their function? As it is found scattered as follicles in the what is called the mucosa layer of the intestine, it affords immunity to the body against enteric infections. The meaning for enteric infections, any infection that is normally affecting the digestive system. As it is found in the digestive system, it protects the body against enteric infections or what we call the infections created or developed in the intestine. That's about the Peyer's patches. The next one we have to discuss about the tonsils. Now if we are taking the pharyngeal region or the throat or the pharynx, it is being divided into upper nasopharynx, then oropharynx and then laryngopharynx. Now if you are taking the tonsils, there are three different types of tonsils. One, the palatine tonsils, present at the back of the pharynx. That is in the oropharyngeal region. Then the next one, pharyngeal tonsils, they are called adenoids. The book is given adenoids. They are nothing but what we have, the pharyngeal tonsils. They are present in the roof of the mouth behind the soft palate. Now this is a soft palate. This is the area where you have the pharyngeal tonsils found in the nasopharynx region. The third one, lingual tonsils. Lingual, the word referring to the tongue. Just below the tongue, near the larynx. So the pharynx region present near the larynx is called laryngopharynx. So anyway, we have the tonsils are located in different parts of the pharynx. Now I'll take the first one, the palatine tonsils. Out of the three tonsils, the palatine tonsils are the two tonsils. So it is nothing but a pair of soft tissues, as I mentioned earlier, present in the back of the pharynx. It helps to fight against an infection and also stop the entry of any microorganisms, or it also stops the entry. That is preventing the entry of pathogens including bacteria and viruses into the respiratory tract or the digestive tract. That is the role of what is called the palatine tonsils. Now the adenoids. The adenoids are nothing but actually, you see that from the pharyngeal tonsils. These are all the glands situated in the roof of the mouth, just behind the soft palate. Now this is what we have, the soft palate. This region is a soft palate, and just behind it we have the palatine. We have what is called, we have the pharyngeal tonsils or adenoids. Now they are concerned with the production of antibodies and help to fight against the antigens. But normally the adenoids become shrinking in size. In the case of, you see that one pre-adolescent period, the size has been reduced, diminished in size, shrinking of the gland actress in the pre-adolescent period and completely just disappear during the adulthood. We can see also it normally undergoes shrinking process even in the adolescent period and completely disappear during the adulthood. Now the lingual tonsils, they are found just below what is called actually the tongue, near the larynx, in the pharynx region. Hence the location is laryngopharynx, below the tongue. So it is somehow not actually participating in the production of what is called actually either the cells or the antibodies. Somehow they are helping to what is called prevent the infection, helping in preventing the infection. That's about the tonsils and adenoids. In the book it is given adenoids. So the adenoids are nothing but the pharyngeal tonsils. Okay. So that's about what we get the tonsils and adenoids. The last secondary lymphoid organ is mouth. The name is given because it is found scattered in the mucosal layer of the alimentary canal, the respiratory tract and also the urogenital tract, hence called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. So it is a diffuse system of small concentration of lymphoid tissue found embedded in the mucosal layer, the innermost layer of the respiratory, the alimentary canal tract as well as the urogenital tract. It also contains a variety of cells. The cells are the macrophages, the plasma cells, the B cells and T lymphocytes. Now these cells are well situated to encounter the pathogen that actually passing through the mucous epithelium. So that is the nature of what is called the mouth, mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Based on the location, it is being divided into one the gall, another one the bond. Those mold components formed associated with the digestive system or alimentary canal, they are together called as gut associated lymphoid tissue. So they are found in the mucosal epithelium of intestine. So normally actually they help to give protection against what we have the invading microorganisms, and that's about gall. And if it is found associated with the respiratory passage like bronchus as well as trachea, then it's called bond. B for bronchus or bronchi. So bronchi associated lymphoid tissue, again another component of mold. So it is found the respiratory mucosa layer or mucosa epithelium from the nasal passage to the lungs. So all these things are normally concerned with giving protection to the alimentary canal, the digestive tract, then the respiratory tract, the nasal passage, and also we have the urogenital tract, the urinary tract as well as the genital tract. Now as per the lymphoid tissue is concerned, the most abundant lymphoid tissue found in the body is the mouth. Nearly more than 50% of the lymphoid tissue is constituted only by the mouth. This is an entrance question. Then, as I mentioned about this gall, it protects the body from invasion in the gut. So actually it gives protection to enteric antigens. Those pathogens enter the digestive tract, they are being killed and destroyed by this what is called this mucosa associated lymphoid tissue formed in the gut region. So that's all about we have the various lymphoid organs. Now we have to go for the various types of cells involved in immune system. That is in the next class. Thank you. So you have to go through the concept for each and every lesson now and then. If you are just adding all these things together, reading, you cannot understand. So that results in what we call the cumulative effect. So read the passage at least for 30 minutes now and then only can understand the facts related to each and every topic. That's what I'm just saying in every video. Okay, thank you.